The smell of roasted espresso filled the upscale Manhattan café, but Jade Robinson barely noticed it anymore. Her eyes stayed locked on the corner table, table 7, where a little white girl, maybe 10 years old, sat alone. Blindfolded by thick sunglasses, the girl gently waved her small hand over the table, searching for something she couldn't find. No parent, no chaperone, just a child, trying to read a missing Braille menu. The girl's shoulders twitched with every sound around her. Someone laughed. A spoon clinked. Her lips moved silently, over and over. "Mommy, come back soon. Mommy, come back soon." Jade swallowed hard. She'd seen cruelty in quiet forms before. But this was new. Kevin, the manager, was glued to his phone. Again. "Hey," Jade whispered. "Has anyone checked on table 7? He didn't even glance up. "VIP client, Mrs. Bennett, told us not to bother her daughter." Jade blinked. "She's been sitting alone for 20 minutes. "Exactly. Stay out of it. You know how she gets, especially about who talks to her daughter." Jade stiffened. "What does that mean?" Kevin sighed, finally meeting her gaze. "Let's just say she doesn't like black staff around her kid." The words hit like cold water. Jade's breath caught, but she didn't argue. She just turned her head toward the girl again. That's when it happened. A small tremor in the girl's hand knocked over the centerpiece. Water spilled across the table, soaking the white dress she wore. She gasped, pushing at the mess blindly, grabbing napkins and failing. Nobody moved. Not Kevin. Not the other servers. Not the well-dressed customers sipping lattes and pretending not to stare. But Jade did. She crossed the cafe floor with steady, slow steps. Every eye followed her. The black waitress touching the blind white child. "Hey there," she said softly, kneeling beside her. "It's okay. I'm here to help." The girl froze. "I'm Jade. I work here. Can I help you clean up a little?" "My mom said, don't talk to anyone." Her voice cracked. "She's gonna be mad." "She's not here right now," Jade said gently, patting the table with a dry cloth. "And accidents happen. It's no big deal." The girl's lip trembled. "I spilled it all. She's going to hate this." "She won't even notice when we're done." Jade moved like muscle memory, wiping, folding, dabbing water from the child's dress with care. She didn't notice the glances, or Kevin's furious pacing in the back. "My name's Clara," the girl whispered. "And I'm sorry." "You didn't do anything wrong, Clara. You're just hungry and scared." Clara hesitated. "How'd you know I'm hungry?" Jade smiled. "You've been fidgeting for 20 minutes. Want some hot chocolate, just between us?" Clara lit up. "I love hot chocolate." Jade didn't wait. She returned with a small tray, warm cocoa, a buttered croissant, and a sugar cookie. She narrated each item while placing Clara's hands carefully on them, guiding her touch like she'd done 100 times before, with her own brother. "You're different," Clara said between cautious bites. "You talk to me like I'm normal." "You are normal," Jade replied. "Being blind doesn't mean you don't deserve kindness." For 10 peaceful minutes, the tension melted from Clara's body. She laughed. Jade told her about constellations you can feel instead of see. But outside the cafe, parked in a sleek black Mercedes, a woman sat stone-faced behind tinted glass. Victoria Bennett, billionaire, CEO, the woman on every magazine cover. Cold, precise, powerful. Her eyes never left her daughter, and the black waitress who dared touch her. "Ma'am," the driver asked, "should I go in with you?" Victoria didn't blink. "Number, wait here." Her gaze narrowed as Jade tucked a napkin under Clara's chin and gently wiped chocolate from her cheek. Then, with the slow calculation of someone who never moved without purpose, Victoria stepped out of the car. Jade never saw her coming. But she felt it. Every hair on her neck stood up. Something had shifted, and the air inside Café Lumière suddenly got colder. The cold followed her home. Jade Robinson stepped off the late train, her worn sneakers splashing in puddles along the Brooklyn sidewalk. Neon signs flickered over shuttered bodegas. Trash cans rattled in the wind. She pulled her jacket tighter and crossed the street toward a faded brownstone. 4th floor. No elevator. The steps creaked like they knew her weight. Inside, the hallway smelled of old radiator heat and boiled cabbage. Jade unlocked her apartment quietly. She didn't want to wake him. Too late. "Jade?" A sleepy voice echoed from the small back room. She smiled. "Hey, I'm home." 16-year-old Daniel stood at the doorway, cane in hand, dressed in his usual hoodie and socks. His dark curls were a mess, but he smiled too. "You're late. You okay?" "Yeah," she said, tossing her bag aside. "Rough shift. I brought leftover soup." He nodded but tilted his head, listening deeper. "You sound tired." Jade laughed under her breath. "Yeah, I guess I am." Daniel didn't ask more. He never did. He knew the weight Jade carried. Blind since age 5, Daniel had learned to read rooms by tone, not light. He knew when bills were late, when Jade skipped meals, when her smiles weren't real. They sat on the worn couch, old movies playing in the background. Jade handed him the soup and leaned back, rubbing her temples. "Did they say anything stupid again?" he asked between slurps. Jade hesitated. "Yeah. Manager told me not to go near a VIP customer's kid. Because I wasn't the right type." Daniel lowered the spoon slowly. "She meant black." "Yep." "Did you go near her?" Jade nodded. "I fed her." He grinned. "That's my sister." But the grin faded fast. "What happened after?" "I'm pretty sure I'll be fired tomorrow." Daniel sighed, placing the soup down. "You know, you don't have to keep doing this forever." Jade smiled softly. "You mean quitting poverty and just teleporting into success?" "Number, I mean, you gave up your whole life for me. School, career, everything." She shook her head. "You're not a sacrifice, Danny." "But I was the reason." Jade's voice was quiet. "You were the reason I didn't give up." Daniel turned his face away. She knew that look. Embarrassed, hurt, grateful, all of it tangled. "I just wish we had a break, you know?" he whispered. Jade looked toward the stack of unpaid bills on the counter, a red-stamped eviction notice half tucked under them. "Yeah," she said. "Me too." She stared at the ceiling as the radiator hissed again. She remembered her old college campus, bright hallways, debates, psychology books. She'd been 2 years into her degree before her parents died. Then Daniel got sick. Then everything crumbled. She'd tried different jobs: cleaner, server, care aide, always the same end: underpaid, overlooked, and dismissed. Because she was black. Because she was outspoken. Because she didn't blend in. The next morning, she woke early, made eggs, brewed coffee from the last scoop left. Daniel emerged in a clean shirt, tapping toward the table. "Good luck today," he said. "I'll need it." She kissed his forehead and stepped out into the New York cold again. Subway, walk, the same cafe doors. But as she walked in, Kevin met her with a smirk already locked on his face. "Office. Now." She followed silently. "I warned you," he said, not even sitting down. "You went over my head." She was scared. I don't care. Her mother's pissed. I have no choice." "You have a choice," Jade said, eyes locked. "You just made the cowardly one." His jaw clenched. "You're fired. Get your things." Jade didn't flinch. "I'll go." She turned, walked out, and never looked back. But behind her, a figure stood near the cafe entrance, watching. Victoria Bennett, Clara's mother, not smiling, not angry, just watching, and already planning her next move. The train ride home felt colder than usual. Jade sat in the corner, coat clutched tight, watching New York blur past through a scratched window. Her phone screen stayed dark. No texts, no missed calls, just a silence that echoed louder than the wind outside. She'd been fired before, but this time felt different. This time, it wasn't about being late. It wasn't about sales or hours or a scheduling conflict. It was about who she was and what she dared to do. At home, Daniel didn't ask questions. One look at Jade's face, and he knew. "You want me to cook tonight?" he offered quietly. She just nodded and collapsed onto the couch. But her thoughts didn't stay with Kevin. Or the cafe. They kept drifting back to Clara. The way she smiled over a sugar cookie. The way her small hand traced Braille across the table. The way her voice shook when she whispered, "My mom's gonna be mad." That little girl wasn't the problem. Her mother was. 3 days passed. No job, no luck, no call back from the diner down the street. Bills kept stacking. And then the knock came. A sharp, precise knock on their apartment door at 8 a.m. Jade opened it in pajamas, eyebrows raised. A tall white woman in a sharp gray suit stood in the hallway. Her posture screamed corporate. Her expression, stone. "Miss Jade Robinson?" "Yeah?" "I'm Margaret Chun, legal assistant to Mrs. Victoria Bennett." Jade blinked. "Excuse me?" "She requests your presence. Tomorrow morning. Bennett Technologies, HQ, 45th floor." Jade stared. "What for?" "Not at liberty to say. Car will arrive at 8:15 sharp." She handed Jade a card with clean serif lettering and turned on her heel. That was it. No explanation, no smile. Daniel stepped behind Jade, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "What just happened?" "I have no idea." The next morning, Jade wore her best thrift store blazer, a white blouse, pressed slacks. She tied her braids back neatly and applied just enough lipstick to look awake. When the black town car pulled up, the driver said nothing, just opened the door. 45 minutes later, she stepped into the glass cathedral of Bennett Technologies. Polished floors, corporate suits, security scanners, names printed on silver plaques. Everyone looked expensive. Everyone looked white. She was the only black woman in the building not serving coffee. An assistant escorted her to the elevator. 45th floor, the man said, as if it needed to be repeated. The ride felt like an hour. At the top, The doors opened to a view of Manhattan so wide it made Jade feel like she might fall. The boardroom stretched in front of her like a runway. Victoria Bennett stood at the window, hands behind her back. She didn't turn when she spoke. "Yesterday, you served my daughter when I specifically told the staff not to engage." Jade stepped forward slowly. She was crying, and she was hungry. Victoria finally turned. Her expression gave away nothing. "I've fired managers for less. I've been fired by worse." That made Victoria blink. "I watched you," she said. "You weren't afraid, even when you knew what it would cost." Jade crossed her arms. "Is this supposed to impress me?" "It doesn't have to impress you. I'm offering you a position." Jade narrowed her eyes. "What kind of position?" "My daughter," Victoria said, stepping closer, "asks about you every day. She doesn't usually do that. I want you to be her companion, full time." Jade scoffed. "So now I'm worthy. After getting kicked out of your precious café?" "It wasn't personal. It was protocol." "That's rich, coming from someone who doesn't want black staff touching her child." Victoria's jaw clenched. People talk. Not all of it is true. Jade didn't buy it. But most of it is, right? Silence stretched. Victoria walked to the table and opened a folder. Inside was a job contract, a salary that made Jade blink. Health benefits, private housing, perks she'd only dreamed about. "And," Victoria said smoothly, "I've arranged an audition at Wellington Academy for your brother. He's talented." Jade felt her stomach twist. "How do you know about Daniel?" "I know everything I need to." "You mean you dug through my life without my permission?" "I did my homework." Jade stared at the folder, the numbers, the opportunity. It was everything she needed, and none of it felt right. "I'm not for sale," she said flatly. "I'm not buying you," Victoria replied. "I'm offering you a role. One only you can fill." Jade stepped back. "I'll think about it." Victoria didn't smile. "Don't take too long. My daughter doesn't wait for people." As Jade stepped back into the elevator, heart pounding, one question echoed in her mind. What game was this woman playing? And why did it feel like Jade had just stepped onto the board? The next day, Jade sat in her kitchen, contract still untouched on the table. Daniel's hands traced the edges of the Wellington Academy audition letter. "They really want me to come?" "Looks like it," Jade said, voice low. "That school costs more than a house," he whispered. "Why would a billionaire do this?" Jade stared at the folder. "Because she's not just rich. She's calculating." Daniel tilted his head. "You think it's a trap?" "I think it's leverage." He was quiet for a second. "Are you going?" "I don't know." He nodded. "If it were me, I'd go. But only to find out why she's playing this hard." The next morning, Jade walked back into Bennett Technologies. Same building, same glass. But this time, she wasn't scared. She was watching. The elevator opened to the top floor. Victoria was waiting again, standing by a massive table, tea already poured. "You came," she said. "I came to talk. That's it." Victoria motioned to the seat across from her. "Then let's talk." Jade sat, arms folded. "You told my daughter stories," Victoria said, "made her laugh, got her to eat." She was alone and scared. That's called being human. 17 people walked past her that day. Staff, customers, management, none of them stopped. Jade raised an eyebrow. And you did nothing either, just sat outside and watched. Victoria didn't deny it. I wanted to see who would notice her. It was a test. Jade stared. You used your blind daughter as bait? She knew, Victoria said calmly. It's a game we play sometimes. That's not a game. That's cruel. She wasn't in danger. It was public. She was terrified. Victoria's face didn't change. And you passed the test. Jade stood. You tested your daughter's dignity and called it strategy. You fire people for breathing wrong. Now you want me to believe you care? Victoria leaned back. You're different. I'm not interested in being your next project. I'm not offering a project. I'm offering purpose. For her. For you. For your brother. Jade hesitated. What about my brother? Victoria nodded to Margaret, who slid another folder across the table. Inside, a profile on Daniel. Medical history. School records. Audition details for Wellington Academy already arranged. How did you? I have resources. He's gifted. He deserves a stage. Jade's voice was tight. You crossed a line. I opened a door. That's emotional blackmail. That's business. Jade laughed bitterly. You rich people really think everything's negotiable. Victoria didn't flinch. You said you're not for sale. Prove it. Come work with Clara. Help her. No strings. Let your actions speak. Jade stared at her. You want me in your world so bad? Yes. Then understand this. I'm not like the people who smile and nod and play your game. I see people. I hear what's not being said. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What do you hear now? That you're scared. For the first time, the room fell silent. Jade stood. I'll do it. For Clara. And for Daniel. But don't think for 1 second I'm here to serve you. Victoria's lips curved, the faintest smile. I don't need servants. I need results. You'll get them, Jade replied, but not the way you think. As she walked out of the boardroom, folder in hand, she passed the glass wall that overlooked the city skyline. From up here, everything looked small. But something big had just started. And Jade wasn't walking in blind. She was walking in ready. The Bennett mansion was everything Jade expected. Grand, cold, and silent. Not a speck of dust. Not a picture out of place. Even the rugs felt like they cost more than her old car. But beneath all that luxury, something didn't sit right. Clara met her at the grand staircase, barefoot and smiling. You came, she whispered like it was a secret. I told you I would, Jade replied, kneeling down. You ready for your Braille lessons? Only if you tell me more about constellations. They walked together to the sunroom. Clara's hand rested gently on Jade's wrist. No cane, no fear. The little girl was already different from the one at the café. Every day after that, Jade saw it happening. Clara laughed more, asked more questions, smiled with her whole face. And every day, Jade kept her eyes open. Because Victoria Bennett's empire didn't just run on money. It ran on secrets. The staff was quiet. Too quiet. No one made eye contact for long. People whispered and vanished down halls. Doors locked behind them without sound. One afternoon, Jade wandered past Victoria's home office looking for Clara's headphones. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, walls lined with trophies, awards, news articles. One headline caught her eye. Bennett Technologies CEO narrowly avoids collision with school bus. It was dated 5 years ago, the same year Clara went blind. Another frame nearby had a picture of Victoria and Clara. Before the sunglasses, before the stiffness. Clara's eyes sparkled. She was laughing in the photo. Jade stepped back. Something didn't add up. Later that night, after Clara had gone to bed, Jade went to place her laundry in the closet. The light flickered, and a small box on the top shelf caught her eye. She pulled it down carefully. Inside was a diary and a USB drive. Clara's voice echoed from behind her. "It's my mom's. I wasn't supposed to see it. Trevor helped me hide it." Jade turned. "Trevor? My uncle. He doesn't come around much." Jade waited until Clara fell asleep before plugging the USB into her laptop. The files inside weren't just personal. They were explosive. Videos of Clara running through fields with full eyesight, laughing, spinning, before everything changed. Medical scans, doctors' reports, legal files, a private email chain. Jade opened one message from Trevor to Victoria. "Vic, the lawyers sealed everything. The media won't touch it. The other driver took the payout. But this is wrong. Clara deserves to know. Someday." Jade's blood ran cold. Victoria didn't just witness Clara's accident. She caused it. Texting while driving. No charges. Covered up with money and power. And then came the final blow. A specialist report dated 2 years ago. Experimental treatment could restore partial vision. Denied per parental authority. Jade stared at the word denied like it had punched her in the chest. Clara never had a chance, not because science failed her, because her mother never let her try. The next morning, Victoria was her usual polished self, eating breakfast with one hand while scrolling news on her tablet. Jade said nothing, but her eyes stayed on Clara, who smiled as she talked about feeling the shape of the sun through a window. Later, while organizing books in Clara's study, Jade found a hidden envelope tucked behind an old Braille novel. Inside, a photo of the crash. A blurry image of a car swerving across the divider. On the back, in shaky pen, "I was the reason." The truth was everywhere, but no one had dared speak it. Until now. Jade placed the photo in her pocket. Because this wasn't just about being a caretaker anymore. This was about justice. Clara deserved the truth. And Victoria? She deserved to watch her perfect empire crack. One lie at a time. The day Clara asked to play outside, Jade knew something had shifted. They sat in the garden near the fountain. Clara listened to birds, her fingers brushing flower petals like pages of a book. "Do you think it's okay to ask questions, even if they hurt people?" Clara asked suddenly. Jade looked up. "That depends on why you're asking." "I've had dreams lately. Of light. Faces. Like I could see again." Jade's heart slowed. "I don't remember the crash," Clara whispered, "but I remember the sound. Glass. Screaming. Then, nothing." Jade reached over, gently held her hand. "You were very brave." "I'm still blind, but not stupid." Jade didn't answer. That night, she printed the report. The one with the word "denied" stamped across the bottom. She slid it into Clara's favorite book. The next morning, the house exploded in tension. Voices echoed down the marble hallway. "I didn't put that there," Victoria snapped. She's just a child. She's not stupid, Jade shot back. She's been asking for answers, and you've been lying to her. Clara stood at the edge of the room, barefoot, clutching the file to her chest. Is it true? Victoria froze. Clara, she started. Baby, you don't understand. Is it true? Clara's voice cracked. You caused the accident? Victoria moved toward her. It was years ago. I was distracted. You were texting. Silence. Clara's lips trembled. You told me the other driver ran a red light. I wanted to protect you. You wanted to protect yourself. Victoria's hand dropped to her side. Jade stepped forward. You denied her treatment. That could have helped. It wasn't safe, Victoria shouted. The procedure was experimental. It wasn't your choice alone. She's my daughter. She's a person. Clara's breathing was shallow now. Her fingers clutched the folder like it could anchor her. I always wondered why you never let me talk to the doctors, she whispered. You didn't want me to hope. I didn't want to lose you, Victoria said, her voice breaking. I didn't want to see you hurt more. You already did that. Victoria's knees gave out. She sat down slowly, as if the weight finally hit her. Jade moved beside Clara. You can still try the treatment. It's your choice now. Clara didn't speak. She turned toward her mother, her chin lifted. I want to see. I want to try. I want to live. Victoria covered her mouth, nodding through tears. The next few days blurred in motion. Doctor consultations, legal documents, paperwork unsealed. Clara's case was reopened. Daniel helped her prep with Braille flashcards and music playlists for the recovery period. Jade drove her to every appointment. The day of the surgery arrived. Clara sat on the hospital bed, head wrapped, dark glasses over her eyes. I'm scared, she admitted. Jade took her hand. Fear means it matters. What if I see her face and I can't forgive her? Jade didn't answer right away. You don't have to forgive what happened, she said softly, but you can still choose what happens next. Hours later, in the recovery room, Clara opened her eyes for the first time. Just shapes. Just light. But it was a beginning. Jade was the first face she tried to focus on. Your hair is different than I pictured. Jade laughed. Yeah, that's fair. Then Clara turned, and Victoria stood frozen near the window. I wanted you to be safe, she whispered. Clara stared, vision blurry but present. I just wanted you to be honest. For the first time in years, they saw each other. Not through guilt, not through lies, but through something fragile and real. Victoria stepped forward, slower now, as if she'd finally understood what it meant to let go of control. Clara didn't move, but she didn't turn away either. And in that small silence, something shattered between them, and something else began. 3 months later, the sunlight looked different. Clara stood in the courtyard of the Wellington School for the Visually Gifted, holding a cane in one hand and a sketch pad in the other. Her vision was still partial. Shadows, colors, some shapes, but the world had cracked open just enough. Enough to believe again. Jade waited by the gate, arms crossed, watching with a smile as Clara laughed with 2 other girls. You came early, a voice said from behind. Victoria Bennett stood in a tailored blue coat, her hair pulled back, her makeup subtle for once. There were no security guards, no limo, no entourage, Just a woman trying to be a mother again. I had to drop Daniel off anyway, Jade said. They're rehearsing for the fall showcase. Piano, right? Yeah. He's teaching his sighted classmates how to hear what they play. Victoria smiled faintly. He's remarkable. Jade didn't answer. Her arms stayed folded. I know I have no right to ask, Victoria said, but I'd like to attend his recital. Jade raised an eyebrow. That depends on what you're attending as. Victoria took a breath. Someone who's trying. Someone who's finally listening. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Jade said, I'll ask him. But no guarantees. Victoria nodded. Fair enough. A few weeks later, the community hall in Brooklyn buzzed with quiet excitement. Parents filled the folding chairs, waiting for their kids to shine. Daniel sat behind the grand piano, fingers hovering, nerves tingling. Jade stood in the back, heart pounding like it was her performance. And then Clara walked in. With her mother. Clara found Jade first, her smile wide. She reached out and touched Jade's wrist. Your voice sounds nervous. I'm not the one playing. Still, you're tense. Jade laughed. You got better at reading people. I had a good teacher. Then Daniel played. The hall went still. No one moved. No one whispered. His fingers danced across the keys like he'd been born for it. And when he finished, the entire room rose in a standing ovation. Victoria clapped too, quietly but with real feeling. Afterward, she approached Daniel, offering her hand. That was extraordinary. Daniel nodded. Thanks. I meant what I said, she added. You have a future, and if you need support... I've got Jade, Daniel said simply. That's enough. Victoria smiled. It shows. Later that week, something unexpected arrived at Jade's apartment. A letter. No fancy envelope. No legal seal. Inside was a document titled Joint Foundation for the Advancement of Blind Youth. Co-founders, Jade Robinson and Victoria Bennett. A sticky note attached read, You weren't for sale. You were right. But maybe we can build something that isn't for sale either. Jade stared at it for a long time. In the months that followed, the foundation launched programs in Harlem, Baltimore, Detroit. Clara recorded PSAs, Daniel hosted youth music sessions, and Jade oversaw a team of advocates, most of them black professionals with lived experience. The narrative was no longer about pity. It was about power. Jade didn't just change Clara's life. She changed her own. From a black waitress nobody wanted near a billionaire's child, to the woman who redefined how the system worked. Reporters called it a surprising partnership. But the community called it something else. Justice. One crisp fall afternoon, as Jade helped Clara prepare for a speaking event at the city's cultural center, Clara paused mid-sentence. You ever think about that café? Jade raised an eyebrow. Not if I can help it. Clara smiled. I do. A lot. Because that was the day everything changed. Jade tucked a braid behind her ear. For both of us. I still remember your voice, Clara whispered. You sounded like safety. Jade looked at her. You sounded like someone who needed someone to believe in her. Clara reached for her hand. Well, you did. They walked out to the stage together, side by side. No longer a billionaire's daughter and a fired waitress, but two survivors, two fighters, two women who proved that even in a world built to divide, the truth still had the power to rebuild everything. And this time, they were telling their own story.